Okay, good morning. It is Saturday, the 28th of March, 2020 in the lunar cycle, and we're just getting breakfast rolling a little bit late, 10 a.m. Had a walk in Alexander Wilderness Park that I streamed live this morning, and we are moving into day 4 of our 14-day mandatory self-isolation, though I don't see a significant change of behavior coming up, beyond 14 days either, except that we'll have the kids back, and that'll be something. And Chels will have to go back to work.
I know.
Ouch.
Yeah.
We're finishing up Tiger King today. Been watching that Netflix special, or that little series. Pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, just gonna get some chow here, and
Another care package is coming in.
yeah, we got another grocery care package coming in. I'll tell you what, for self-isolation, we get to eat pretty good. Yeah, it is not hurting at all as far as nutrition and feeding goes.
No.
It's good times. Time for food delivery.
Yeah. She'll be coming. Her truck's just pulling up.
Are the kids with her?
No.
Oh.
They haven't babysitting.
Oh.
Should be too hard.
Oh, yeah, it would kind of hurt it
Yeah, it would.
if they show up here.
And they're like freaking out. I mean, like, terrible.
Oh, she's here. Holy, come in. Go inside.
Come in.
Inside.
Come on.
Hey, Chantel.
Hey guys.
Hello.
You're welcome. Here you go. Yes. Got everything, those 2 things. Clam chowder.
No clam chowder and none of my near beer.
No.
The stores are sold out. It's weird that they're sold out at clam chowder, especially like.
Well, the soup has been going, but 4 o'clock has stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I'll check in if there is, and I'll stop that. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you.
Virtual hugs.
I know.
Yeah, I wanted a certain near beer, but any near beer would do. But I guess the aisles are bare.
Coffee.
Yeah, Tim Hortons.
Brown water.
Brown water.
Mistakes.
All right, what else we got? What's our goodies for today?
What did we get? Okay, so she got us some barbecue chips, some
Woohoo, barbecue.
cinnamon raisin bread,
Mm.
breakfast bread. Got a cereal.
And we can use our milk on.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some cheese,
Cheeses,
a little bit of lunch meat,
bologna.
bologna.
We got some.
Bologna.
We got some turkey.
Yeah, boy.
Some black forest ham. Got some soup. She managed to find my soup, but
Yeah,
but
they don't have clam chowder, but they have vegetables.
which I like. Okay, let's see what's this inside. My personal. Got yours.
Oh yes, contact solution and a big one. Holy moly!
We got another local
More bread.
And pepperoni sticks.
Oh yeah.
Snack food.
Woohoo. Yep, we'll add this to the food stores.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put this in the freezer.
Yeah, we've got a couple loaves already.
Yeah.
Starting to get tight in there.
I got it in. Just switching things around.
Decided to come down to Cottonwood Park this afternoon, which is at the confluence of the St. Mary's and Old Man River. And you're gonna go down for a little walk, check and see if any of the owls in the forest down here are using the nest locations I know of, and just get some fresh air. A friend of mine sent me a link to a source on the Canada.ca website, which is the federal site regarding self-isolating procedures. And just like with the province's site, the federal site also says that we are allowed to come out here, take walks, we can go for runs, we can walk dogs, but basically if we've come from travel abroad like we have, then we want to stay out of the areas where there are lots of people recreating. And certainly the coulees is not a place where there are a lot of people recreating. And we're not going to be touching any surfaces out here, so. But I'm still getting flack online from people. Some of them pretty disrespectful. It's unfortunate, but this is still isolation out here. In fact, it's more isolated here than in my neighborhood at my house. So, and you know, to tell you the truth, I don't see my self-isolating practices changing drastically after the 14 days. Chelsea's going to have to go back to work. That's going to put us at risk. But as far as myself goes, aside from making very brief store runs where I know where I'm going to get and I go get it and I'm careful about it, wear gloves and stuff like that, I'm going to be maintaining my physical distancing from people well beyond the 14 days. So I think people should be developing practices that they can institute in the everyday, because this isn't going away in 2 weeks. You know, just need to change our practices in general. And definitely going out for walks is going to be part of my practice, because I'm not endangering anybody out here and not endangering myself. That's the whole point.
Nobody on the trail.
Oh. No, in an hour of coulee walk this morning, I ran into 0 people. Here is what had been, at least in previous 10 years or so, the main beaver lodge for Cottonwood Park. But I see no residue of food caches here, so I don't even know if they used this year. It's kind of looking fishy. No food cache residue in front of the lodge in the river. At least not that I can see. Let's get out here and take a closer look. Pretty squishy. Yeah, normally there'd be a big raft of food stuff here. Now it could be, as the river thawed, it already took that raft away. I bet there's still beavers in the lodge here, but it is a little hard to say without the food cache evidence. Pretty nice day. There's 2 owl nests that I know of in this forest down here. This is one of them, and we can see through the binoculars there is an owl sitting in the nest incubating. So I'm gonna try to get up a little closer and have a better look, but might not get that good a look with the phone here. We'll see what we can do. So this is our view from the other side of the tree. The nest is just so high that it's really hard to get an angle on her from the ground where you can see much, but she is visible from this angle, especially with binoculars and such. She's kind of lighter colored feathers, and she's on the right side of the nest from our view. And it just can look at the top of her head basically. She's up there incubating eggs. It's owl nesting time. And her man should be around the forest here somewhere. We'll see if we can bump into him as we go that way, because there's another nest over there, and I'm just curious now to see if it's occupied. But this has been the nest that for the last few years at least I know owls have used. And I think it's probably the only couple on this side of the forest. So cool to find an active nest though. I just hadn't been down to Cottonwood for a while. This is one we can monitor and watch as the young or the owlets are raised. All right, let's go look at that other one. Just over here, there's a really nice mid-forest meadow, and above it in the trees here, nest number 2. Scoped it out with the binoculars though, and it is unoccupied. So I kind of think that this actually belongs to that owl couple we already seen at the nest. That side, the north side of the forest, that they just moved a few years ago, and now I think this one might be utilized in the summer by Swanson's hawk, but no confirmation on that. Maybe you get one later in the season. I haven't seen any more good peck-ins on logs from the woodpeckers. I'm keeping an eye out. This is where I first learned, how to collect those grubs. Hairy woodpecker taught me. There's a possibility where I might find some grubs. Definitely the woodpeckers have in the past dug around here, but I don't know how recent these are. Those grubs, like a colony of them mature at the same time because they were all laid together as eggs. So usually I'd see Licorice River feeds in just over here. And this was an important area. Important camp area for the Blackfoot peoples. First kind of river confluence on the northern lodge of the territory. Original Fort Whoop-Up was just over here across the river. Just at the base of this cliff here. And was digging up some licorice root. I'll show you that in a second. But I noticed there are these little, I think they're probably stoneflies. Quite a few of them. Yeah, people ask like what are some of the edibles and stuff like that that you can find, and one of the easy ones to come up to get along the river here, just about anywhere you are along the river you can find it, is the wild licorice root, which I've been digging up here. Problem with the wild licorice root is that the roots grow, you know, very deep. So you're only gonna get probably a section of it. The best place to get them is off of the cut banks, where you can dig into the side of a cut bank, or look for a area of the cut bank that's kind of fallen off from the thaw. But you can also, if you find a place like this, where the soil is easy to dig, you can just dig in with your hands or a stick or whatever and grab a piece. So I've dug this one down quite a bit. Still a long ways to go if I wanted to keep following the river, but good enough here. Dealing with. So there's a lot of these plants here that are all interconnected, rhizomes and such, and this is what you want, the root after the woody part of the plant, so where it gets flexy in here, it's all good. Now if you go to Waterton, you go to their candy store, you'll find up by the counter that they sell, you know, sticks of this stuff for $1 a piece or whatever. Maybe people aren't aware that they could just walk outside and it's right there. It has a kind of a mild licorice flavor. It's good for, you know, soothing your throat. It's not the most, like we have another licorice up in the mountains here, Sweet Sicily, called buckwheat, so it goes some bear root that people use as a kind of a heavier licorice medicine. This one's mild, but it'll make good tea. You can process it a couple of different ways. You can dry it just as a stick and chew on it like that, like they sell it at the candy store. That's kind of a southern Alberta sugar cane, basically, you know. You can also dice it up or slice it up into coins, dry it that way, throw it in water to make tea with it that way. Or while it's kind of new and fresh, you can grate it into a powder. Use that grated powder for tea. So this stuff grows all along here. It's going to be hard for people to identify this season. I know what it looks like, so it's pretty easy for me to tell the difference between this stuff and the stuff that's growing around. And one of the ways you can tell is to look for the rust-colored burr that grows on it. And I'm just kind of looking around to see if I got an example of that burr to show you. Maybe back this way. A couple of meters. I thought maybe I saw one. There we got it. This is the plant. It has almost like a fern-like leaf in summer, but right now it's all shrivelly. And everybody who lives here walk down to the river, cooling and all. Maybe I'll find an example of that here, maybe I won't. The mice love the burrs. Here we go. The mice love the seeds that are inside these burrs. So this part of winter, it's hard to find even burrs in some patches because the mice have cleaned them out. But that's one of the indicators you can look for to identify. And of course, you know, it'll smell and taste like licorice. So that's a good indicator too. So yeah, and you can also cook this. Hey, you can caramelize it, you can roast it. So lots of different ways to use it, but I'm going to take it and use it as tea. Yeah, a lot of the edible plants that are here, people have to be careful, you know, in terms of their harvest ethics, how much they're going to take, because some plant communities are really fragile, and if you over harvest, that's going to be it for them. But the licorice root that we just harvested is not one of those plants. I reckon everybody in Lethbridge could come out here and harvest some, and it while it would definitely put a dent in the population, we're still going to have plenty of licorice. So it's one of those plants that, you know, you're okay to take. But in general, when I'm harvesting plants, I don't take if I just find one or just a few, I don't take them at all. And then when I do find a good patch, you know, I take a limited amount and I eyeball it too and make sure nobody else has been harvesting from the patch, so I'm not compounding the harvest, you know. Just some ideas, because if we get into tough times, which we might economically, some people might want to be making more use of wild foods, but need to understand some protocols for doing that in a way that we're not just going to completely diminish our available resources. Back home now and grating up my root. I just used one of these kind of small hole cheese grater to do the job. And I was thinking, I forgot to say while I was harvesting the root in the coulee, the Blackfoot name, well, one of the Blackfoot names for this plant is so, and that's really referring to the burr itself. I think that the plant or root is called liquorice, the yellow root. And the reason I think that is because I came across a description in Claude Schaefer's ethnographic papers. He was a Smithsonian ethnographer that was in charge of the Plains Museum in Browning on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana in the 1950s and 60s, and he interviewed a lot of the surviving elders at that time, including a lot of beaver men like Yellow Kidney and such. And in some of his files dealing with buffalo hunting, he mentioned that the buffalo runners used to use a root, chew on a root when they would be doing their endurance running, that was called the yellow root, Opgoaz. And this is the root that I think he was referring to, because this one does indeed turn yellow, and it would be a good kind of traditional version of the power bar kind of a thing for somebody that's involved in endurance running. Gives you a little shot of some sugars and that kind of a thing. So pretty sure this is that root that the buffalo runners would use. So I'm just going to grate it up and use it for teas, and I'll dry it. I'll leave it out to dry. Of course, you can, if you want to keep it fresh like this, you can refrigerate it, but the shelf life isn't huge, and it doesn't seem to make much of a qualitative difference in taste between whether you dry it in its grated form or use it fresh. So dry is just as good, and it'll last you longer. Same time as I'm doing this, Chelsea's making our dinner, which we're gonna have sandwiches, meat and cheese sandwiches with some popcorn and some grapes. And we're still working our way through the Tiger King.
Yeah.
We're on episode 6, I think, so we should be coming toward the end.
I hope.
Yeah, it's about enough of the Tiger King now.
I know.
But we gotta finish,
We do.
for closure. It's gonna be, everybody's gonna remember the time we all stayed home and watched Tiger King.